The information in this video is nothing short of confusing. To be completely honest, this video is referring to a gal we talked about in a previous video, Connie. If you haven't seen that video, I do highly suggest that you go watch it because it's going to be a very important prerequisite information to everything that we're going to be talking about in this video. And I do want to preface, when I make videos about the steroid transformations and we use individuals who have basically published their whole life online, it's not to besmirch them. I don't have any quarrels against these people. I don't want them to suffer because of a video I make. And I make that very clear in a lot of the videos because these are things that have happened to me when other people make videos of me. You get hate and you get this, honestly, like this really weird militant persona of people online that come in and just attack you. And it doesn't make sense. Oftentimes the creator doesn't mean for that to happen and it just happens, and it's like, you know, you shoot buckshot and it sprays everywhere. It just happens. I try to be very clear. Don't approach these people. Don't comment on their shit. Don't talk to them. You know, it's just like they're just doing their own thing. And I recognize that. I don't want to stop them from living their lives. However, I do think it is important to use their situation as a possible educational moment or a revealing moment to the people who are in this genre of life and want to pursue very similar things. Because as you know, foundationally, I believe in steroid usage. I think it is a good thing for most sports. It improves longevity, it improves health of athletes, and it does so many good things. It gets a more entertaining sport on TV in front of your face. It's all benefits all around as long as that use is managed and appropriately done, you know, not abusive, which is where things get really hard and why bodybuilding is such an interesting thing to just put a magnifying glass up to, because it is the sport of chemical warfare. Now, bounding back to Connie, the reason that I'm coming back and making this video is, again, I've never seen this happen before when I've made a video about someone. Let's just show you what I'm talking about.
Say it with me now. Gear does not change your facial structure. If you look at me 2 weeks out from my show and think, I can see all of her bone structure in her face. Maybe consider that she's under 10% body fat, and it'd be a little strange if her face was fat while the rest of her body was shredded. You know, that would be a little weird.
So she made this Instagram video obviously referring to some of the comments that I made in the video that we did on this channel that you probably saw, saying that essentially steroids do not change your face. Now, she made comments afterwards in the comment section saying that this wasn't what she meant. She was saying that moderate use of steroids does not change your face. Now, I am going to entirely correct the person here and talk about this. There is a very big frame shift that this gal has, right? And I think it's super important to call out. No harm or foul to her. It's just she's a young gal. I think it's easy to think that she's probably 25, 30 just because of how she's changed from steroids, but genuinely she's a young gal. Understanding that when you say things like this, it is almost horrifically dangerous because the way that she's framing it is, why do people care about what I do? I'm just living my life. Well, you can do whatever you want, right? You can do anything that you want in your life, and that's totally fine, but don't lead or misinterpret other people down a wrong path into their own harm. You should not be bringing wrongdoing into other people's lives by living your own life. I think we could all agree. If your goal and desire in life is to murder somebody, and you murder somebody, okay, but you're going to jail for the rest of your life. No one wants to associate with you. No one wants to be around you, and you're seen as a criminal. But if that's what you wanted to do, so be it. But you're not going to, you know, condemn other people to your wishes of wrongdoing. What I mean to say is Connie seems to be justifying a lot of her use. She seems to be saying that it's lower to moderate dose, so there's no changes. But I think if you remember the last video we did on her, you can see the changes happen in such a short period of time. It doesn't even make sense that you can deny the fact that this was a steroidal-based change. Now in this video, she's clearly talking about how facial structure does not change with the use of steroids. I quoted her very incorrectly in the comments. I made a response video on Instagram, but let me just be very clear. We have over a decade of human studies with female to male transgender therapy, where these females take anywhere from 50 to 70 milligrams of testosterone, sometimes other androgens in unique cases. In each of these studies, you can see the changes in facial structures over the span of a year, 2 years, so on. Now, even if Connie was saying that your face doesn't change and it's just, fat redistribution, and if you use low dose gear, you don't have to worry about this. I don't think most women in this sport, especially ones that change as drastically as Connie do, are taking less than 50 milligrams of androgens a week. Let's be honest, they're probably all exceeding 10 milligrams a day of an oral 17-alkylated steroid or an injectable format somehow, way, shape, or form. Now, that's just one compound. Let's throw in another compound, a growth hormone secretagogue, or growth hormone itself, IGF-1LR3. These things all activate osteoblast cells, right? Like the things that grow bone. And these do cause morphological changes within skeletal tissue. Very well known. We've known this for 50 plus years. It is a very archaic concept, which it blows my mind we're even having to discuss this. Your face changes because of sex hormones. Okay? Sexual dimorphism, or in other words, the differences that makes a male look like a male and a female look like a female, right? The physicality, their traits, that is a genesis of hormones. It is not just innate. You don't just suddenly become born and look like a female, and you don't suddenly just come born and look like a male. There is hormonal cascades that happen across your entire life for the first at least 10 to 12 years that are constantly changing your body in several different ways to accommodate your gender. Now, gender fluidity is a whole nother conversation here, not for this place. That's much more psychogenic. What we're discussing is a very clear male-female biased towards sexual dimorphism. This is not... you can't make this up. This is foundationally how humans are created. And I want to be very, very clear because a lot of people are like, facial structures don't change when you're on gear. You have to be really blasting and you have to be really using a lot. This is preposterous. We've looked at hours and hours and hours of content on this channel reviewing several different steroidal transformations with women. I think you can all agree the facial structure of these women have changed drastically since they ever started taking pharmacology. This is another video that she recently posted. Quoting her, "They said I would regret gear in a year, and now they give it 5. So come back later when I laugh in your face as you tell me give it 10.
What? I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
This is such a disgusting, delusional message. I mean, I don't think it takes a rocket science to look at this and say there's probably something not okay with this person. We're justifying gear usage. It's no duh. Okay? Gear usage is a real thing in bodybuilding. That isn't the problem. We're talking about the misuse of pharmacology. We're talking about the inappropriate choice of certain pharmaceutical chemicals that females are using, causing very maladaptive traits, behaviors, and qualities, physiological and morphological changes. I don't think that Connie is able to see what's actually changed in her in just the past 12 months alone, let alone what's going to happen in the few years. It's not that people are laughing at her. It's not that people are condemning her for what she's doing. Genuinely, me as a person is like, holy fuck, Connie, this is scary, You're changing your body to such a large degree. You are going to have morphological changes beyond your conception for the rest of your life due to even just a simple year of gear usage. Your voice being one of those things that will never come back ever again. Did you like to sing in your car? Yeah, you probably can't do that anymore. I think one of the biggest things I hear from women in my my comment sections is that they hate they lost their voice and can't sing. A lot of gals like to sing. I like to sing, but they can't do it anymore because it hurts their throat, or they just can't hit the same sounds they used to because their voice has dropped a few octaves. This isn't the flex that I think she thinks it is. And I don't know if you remember in that past video that we did, I talked about a walled garden. And bodybuilding is very much this walled garden where when you're in the inside, everything on the outside seems like, they're just pointing and laughing at us. Like, it's so great in here. And you just want to be a part of that walled garden. You want to be closer to the center of that walled garden. So everything wrong just passes over you. It is a social engineered bias to your environment. Everything that's happening wrong, which is seen as a norm, is now okay. But when you leave the walled garden and you look back at it and you have some translucence of one's mind, you can realize, holy shit, there's a lot of fucked up stuff going on in there. But when all your friends and your coach and everybody else is hyping you up saying, yeah, you're doing so great, you look great, you look absolutely crazy, you're gonna be an IFBB pro tomorrow, baby, this is looking gold, we just gotta keep running it up. And you're like, hey, I don't know, like my downstairs, like the hoo-ha is getting a little funny. I don't know how I feel about that. And then another girl's like, hey, it's fine. Just happens to everybody. It's part of the journey. It's like, oh, I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess you're right. And then what happens is you adopt that mentality, behavior, and then you put yourself so deep into it that you can't get out. And so now you try to justify it to everybody. Also, I wanted to come in and add this in afterwards. Her coach did actually message me. I don't know if this is her current coach still, or it was her previous coach and maybe she moved on. I'm not so sure, but here's basically what he had to say about the situation. And it was kind of as I had mentioned in the video before, where she was basically 16 and she was already fully determined to use PEDs. He was adamantly against that, but when she turned 18, she apparently started to date a bodybuilder and got gear from him. So either he had to make the decision to do it and show her how to do it, or just let her do it herself with improper guidance. He said that, you know, he made sure her blood work looked good and she basically wanted to continue pushing. He accepted the consequences, and it, you know, definitely makes him look like a bad person. But I don't, like I said in the video, like, I don't think the coach is a bad person. I want to be very clear about that. The clients make the decisions, right? And the coach can guide you as long as the coach is upfront and honest about like the protocols they're giving you and what they'll do to your body, and, you know, fully in transparently explains these things. I think it is very, very much so on the client to accept risk versus reward. And it seems like Connie was very apt to push the boundaries as far as she possibly could. In spite of her virilization, he says her blood work always came back as perfect. She had her period on show day last month, if that's any consolidation. Would I rather she didn't use PEDs? Yes, that would have been my preference, but she was determined to use them anyways, so I can at least mitigate as much long-term damage as possible because I have earned her trust and she allows me to guide her instead of whoever else is in her life telling her to use NPP, tren, testosterone, and other incredibly stupid steroids that would just assuredly destroy her within months of using them. He says, anyways, I understand how I'm perceived. Morally, I have a ton of issue with young people using PEDs. Connie is unique in a sense where she's read all her studies and her uncle is a doctor in Greece and is pro steroids. And she argued with me incessantly about wanting to use steroids and never accepted my protest. So it is exactly as I said in the last video. I didn't really want to place blame on the coach. I just think it's weird, you know, coaching somebody who's 16, 17 and knowingly they're getting involved with steroids and you have to do something. Like, I would just personally, myself as a coach, as I said in the last video, would say, hey, I'm good. I don't want to be a part of this. You know, I got fucking bands coming in, Bugatti bands coming in from YouTube. It's not something I need to be invested in, you know? I don't know. Take that as you see it, I guess. This is the problem we're seeing unfold in real time with Connie. And I make this video, again, not to besmirch her, like, do what you want to do, but at least don't misinform people and promote the inappropriate usage of pharmacology, because you are not an example of good use of pharmacology. You're a year plus into your career and you already have these many morphological changes to your voice, to your face, to your body, not muscle. Like, it's terrifying. It really is. You expect to do this for 10 years. Do you imagine how your skin is going to change, how your nose, cartilage, I mean, these are, again, all morphological changes that are well studied for decades of time, longer than she's been around. And we're trying to argue that they don't exist. I don't know. Whatever you think, leave it down in the comments below. I just thought I'd touch back on this. I hope you have a good day. Talk to you later.